Hey, what's going on? Adrian here with bestformyfeet.com. Welcome to this video. Today we're going to review the Brunt Marin. I don't know how to pronounce it. I just say Marin. So this is the Brunt Marin Toe. I wish they would have come up with a better name for a work boot than just call it toe. But there you have it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing I want to talk about is the difference between this model. This is the new Brunt Marin, and they have another version of this boot, which is older, but doesn't have this toe cap bumper or the heel guard. So I asked Brunt what's the difference between this new model and the older model, and basically they said the only difference between the two boots is the patent pending TPU, I think it's TPU, toe cap bumper and the heel guard. That's the only difference, and this actually it's a good feature, of course, for those of you that work in industries like mine where you kick things around with your boots. You kick a piece of timber, you kick a piece of metal into place. So this is going to be very helpful to protect the leather around the toe cap from damaging, from getting damaged prematurely when you kick these things around at work. If this is the first time you watch any of the videos on this YouTube channel, first of all, thank you and welcome to the channel. Welcome to the regulars as well. Welcome back. But I want to tell the new viewers that I'm a construction worker. So that is an important detail, because then you can see my experience testing these boots in my industry, and then you can compare it to your industry and see if these boots are actually good for you or not. There are trades in my industry that I would not recommend these boots to. So we're going to come back to that in just a little bit. But first, I want to do a quick unboxing just so you can see how the boots look like brand new. They're very beautiful, by the way. It is one of the things that I most liked about these boots. And then we're going to come back and talk about the features and my experience with these boots. So let's get right into it. So my first impressions of these Brunt Marin work boots, like I already said, they look amazing. And I'm sorry if this sounds too repetitive, but they really do. I can say that whoever designed these boots, they have good taste in footwear. So besides the looks of the boot, which is great, the next thing that stood out to me is the quality of the leather. It's a full grain leather. I don't know how thick it is because I can't measure it because of the full of the waterproof membrane, but we'll find out when I cut it in half. But it looks like it's thick enough for a work boot and of great quality. It smells beautifully at leather, and I love the color of the leather as well. As you can see, the leather on my boots got a little bit darker than the original. That's because I've used mink oil already on these boots in order to keep them conditioned, in order to make them more waterproof or water repellent. It's a better term. But I actually like it, to be honest. If you don't like this to happen to your boots, I would recommend using Big 4 instead. As you can see in this video here, on the boot on your left, I've used mink oil, and it's much darker than the boot on the right, on which I've used Big 4. Alright, let's talk about the features of the boot, and we're gonna start from the outside, and then we're gonna have a look on the inside as well and see what we can learn. The first thing I want to mention here is the mock toe construction on this boot. This one is one piece of leather that's actually pinched up here. All this leather here on the vamp, it's pinched up and then stitched to create this mock toe style, and is much better, much more durable, especially for work boots, than other types of mock toe construction styles, if you want. Whereas like other boots, you have two pieces of leather that meet together here, and then they stitch together in order to create the mock toe boot. This is much more durable. So I like this on this boot. Talking to so many people about work boots, I've learned so many things, and this is the case of the toe cap bumper in this boot. As you can see, this one here is glued to the leather rather than stitched to the leather like this, like the one on my Bluntstones. And what I've learned by talking to people about it is that they prefer this type of toe cap bumper in a boot because having stitches going through the leather is going to become a liability for the boot, because of course having stitches, water can penetrate through those stitches, go into the boot and make your feet wet. Also, because of the stitches can come off, then that's gonna give you that's gonna leave you with a faulty boot, forcing you to visit your local cobbler. So spending some more money. In the case that this one come off, you can just put a little bit of super glue or something, strong adhesive and all that, and that's gonna stay here hopefully for some time. Moving on, we have the hardware on these boots. We have 4 eyelets and 2 spin hooks, and again, by talking to some of you, I know, especially on Reddit, I know that you guys don't like the spin hooks. I personally love spin hooks because make putting on the boots and take them off much easier for me. But if you don't like the spin hooks, well, you can put the laces through the spin hooks. They have some eyelets in here, as you can see. I don't know if you can see, but you can put this through the spin hooks and use it as an eyelet instead of a spin hook. So that's very, very helpful. This boot, although looks like there's some stitches in here on the welt, is not a Goodyear welted boot. I know. I'm sorry for those of you who love Goodyear welted boots. These are not Goodyear welted. It looks like, actually this is the first time I look at the boot and I can say it's not Goodyear welted, because I could see the glue in here, between the leather and the welt or fake welt. So the downside of this is that if you want to resole them, you might find a cobbler that can do it, but probably they're gonna charge you a lot of money, therefore not worth it. And it's a shame because the upper of the boot is really, really high quality in my opinion. But nevertheless, there's always pros and cons to things. Not being Goodyear welted boot makes it a little bit more lightweight than a Goodyear welted boot, and also more flexible than a Goodyear welted boot. Now let's talk about the outsole of these boots. The sole, actually, the sole construction. You have 2 parts here. You have the outsole and you have the midsole. The outsole, it's a thin piece of rubber. I don't know if you can appreciate that. It's about 5 millimeters, 4.6, 5 millimeters thick. And then we have the midsole, which is made out of polyurethane. It's about 22 millimeters thick, or almost 1 inch thick. This adds a lot of comfort under your feet, absorbs a lot of shocks. By walking, you create shocks, and this absorbs that, taking a lot of pressure from your knees, back, and ankles. So this is really helpful. And the rubber, actually, it's here to add more durability to the outsole, to the sole overall, because otherwise this polyurethane here is gonna be chewed up in a few weeks, months maximum, especially if you work on hard unpolished concrete surfaces like many of my colleagues on site. So, and this one as well adds to the grip. So if you work on smooth concrete surfaces, polished concrete surfaces, and if you step on some water or something like that, they should keep you on your feet. If you're wondering where these Brunt work boots are made, they are made in China according to the label here on the boots. Also, if you want to know if these boots are waterproof, they are waterproof, as I've tested this at work, walking through some puddles, and we had some rain as well. And they are waterproof, completely waterproof for me. The boots come with a removable insole, and this is great because you can stick in here whatever you need, depending on, as we know, we have different feet from person to person. Each one is different, but this is great because this is exactly my case. So this is the original insole. It's very cushioning. It's very comfortable, very thick, which is great if what you're looking for in a wear with its comfort. These are great, but as you can see, they're quite flat as well. And this is the insole that I wear, and as you can see, the differences in arches, in arch support, it's quite it's quite visible, right? Now I have regular arch, and compared to this would not be good for me. This would be great for someone like my colleague who actually has flat feet. So of course, you don't, if you have flat feet, you don't want a high arch like this, because that's gonna dig into your arches, make it uncomfortable and painful. So this is great for you. But if you're someone like myself with a little bit more arch, then I personally recommend to have some arch support like this. You have a deeper heel cap in here for more stability as well. And this is actually better for those of you, especially for those of you that suffer from plantar fasciitis. Trust me, you don't want this. If you suffer from plantar fasciitis, you need something that's more rigid. As you can see here, it's flexible, is nice, it's okay. But here, where where your plantar fascia here goes under your foot, you need something more rigid in order to give some relax, if you want, to that ligament in order to recover. So this is much better than this in that case. But anyway, my point was that it's great that you can remove the insoles in this boot, so you can put whatever you need in here. Also, something interesting that I never saw in any other boot is that Brunt has something they call adjustable width system. I'm gonna leave this here for 1 second. You can pause the video if you want to read what it says. But basically, this boot comes with two insoles. So you have the insoles that I just mentioned, and this one sits on top of the sock liner of the boot. This one goes on top and inside the boot. So basically, Brunt says that if you remove this insole that sits on the underneath this one, your boots are going to become more wide, or at least they're gonna fit E plus with feet. So of course I tested this at work. I removed this one and I put this one. Then I tried it with the one that I use. And one thing I realized is that yes, the boot becomes much more roomy, and especially if I had thin socks, I feel like my feet would actually swim inside these boots. That's how space. That's how much space inside the boots would have if I remove this insole. This makes me think that these boots actually are great for those of you who have a higher instep, because then when you put your foot inside the boot, you're not gonna have too much pressure in here. Also, Jeff, I should feature you in this video, bro. He had an accident when he was younger, and that made one of his toes or one of his foot sit higher than the other. So even though he buys boots and one of the foot is gonna fit great, the other one has to be a little bit roomier. So I think that if that's your case as well, if you have any problems with your toes, any deformities of your toes or whatever, this boot, by becoming roomier here in the toe cap, is gonna accommodate your toes much better. So I think that I'm not 100% sure if this makes your boot wider. Actually, I would be curious to know if you have these boots and if you have wide feet, and by doing this procedure here, if this actually helped you, you know, if the boots fit you better. But nonetheless, this is a great feature for all the other things that I just mentioned. So who do I recommend these Brunt Marin work boots to? Let me start with who I don't recommend them to, because the list is gonna be much shorter. So basically, if you work on in an industry where the surface that you stand on, you walk on, it's unpolished concrete. Like I said at the beginning of this video, some of my colleagues, they work inside the building, whereas I'm more in the yard. They work and walk on recently poured concrete slabs. The concrete is not polished, is not smooth. So in that case, these soles are gonna be chewed up pretty fast. Also, in the yard with me, I have the boys that are doing columns, they're doing walls, so they work with steel. Again, if you walk with these boots on steel, the soles are going to be chewed up pretty fast. Other than that, I recommend them to anybody that's looking for a mock toe safety toe cap boot with a wedge sole. If you stand and if you work on polished concrete or smooth concrete floors, then these are a great option. I hope my review of the new Brunt Marin composite toe cap work boots was helpful to you in any way. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Also, remember to check out the blog post. I'll leave you a link in the description. It's much more in-depth than the video. And we also go back to the article to update with other questions or other things that we might find out about the boots. So I think it's very helpful to check it out. Also, if you want to support the channel, please use the links in the description to buy these boots if you're interested in buying them. Again, thanks for watching. I'm Adrian from bestformyfeet.com. See you in the next video. Bye bye.